In this tutorial, I'm going to be covering some of the most fundamental concepts in Python. So let's get started right away. So right here is an IDE. It's an integrated development environment. This is where we're going to be coding. This is known as Pycharm CE. And to download this, just go on Google and type in download Pycharm and click the very first link and hit community, and you don't need the professional one. It has a lot of stuff that you don't need. And then just choose whichever operating system that you're running on. So first things first, let's go over variables. So variables are exactly like how we're used to seeing in math. They hold some specific value. You have integers, you have strings, which are characters, and then you have booleans, which are true or false statements. So these are the three fundamental ones that I'm going to be covering. If you want to learn more, and if you want to go through a much more extensive Java tutorial, Python tutorial rather, then head over to my website and browse through and see whatever is perfect for you. So we can do a lot of stuff with variables. We can print them, we can add them up, we can subtract them, a whole bunch of stuff. So let's go ahead and uncomment this out. And a comment is basically something that tells the user or another person that's looking at your program, so like another software developer, for example, what is going on. So this isn't seen by Python, it's just a comment. So let's go ahead and run this program and see what happens. So in order to print something to the screen, you just type in print, and inside the brackets you type in whatever you want to print. So let's say, for example, we want to print out the word hello world. All we have to do is print and write hello world. And once we print this out, we're going to get hello world. So let's say we want to have two numbers where we can add them together, subtract them, and find the exponent of each other. So what we can do is write print x plus y, and remember x is 3, y is 2, and then y minus x, and then x to the power of y, so 3 to the power of 2. Once we print this out, of course it's going to say 5, which is 3 plus 2, negative 1, which is 2 minus 3, and then 9, which is 3 to the power of 2. This is what we call arithmetic operators, or operations. So you have plus, minus, exponents, and in order to access some more stuff like a square root, we're going to have to import a math. So we'll get to that in just a bit. There's also another important operator called the Modulus Operator, and this just finds the remainder of a number. So let's say we want to find the remainder of 3 divided by 2. So all we write is print x mod y, and this is just going to print 1 because 2 goes into 3 once and you have 1 remainder. So let's go ahead and comment all this out and look at strings. So strings are just characters. So we have first name, which is equal to Siam, and last name, which is equal to Rahman, so my name, and we have a variable called email, and this is equivalent to my first name and my last name with @email.com at the end. So let's go ahead and print this out and see what happens. If you want to concatenate strings together, meaning if you want to add them together and just attach them with each other, this is what we do. We have a plus sign in between them, and then we have @email.com. If, say for example, for some reason we want to add a number to it, we cannot simply just add 3 because this is we're adding up different data types, which are integers and strings. Python doesn't allow that. In Java you can do that, but in Python you will have to use quotations and write 3, and that's how you concatenate or add a number to a string. So let's get rid of that. And like I mentioned before, if we want to utilize the square root function or the floor function, round the number down, or the ceiling function, which rounds the number up, then we can utilize this. And in order to use these, you see how there's an error. We need to import a math, and we just need to write import math, and we can do all this. So if we go ahead and print that out, what will we get? Well, square root of 25 is 5, and 2.6 rounded down is 2.0, and 2.6 rounded up is 3.0. So let's go ahead and comment that out. So like I said, modulus just takes the remainder. So let's say, for example, we have the values 5 and 2. So this, of course, is going to print out 1 again. And if the smaller number comes first, so if we have the smaller number mod bigger number, then the smaller number gets printed out because it doesn't go into the bigger number even once. So it just prints out the smallest number. So that's all there is to arithmetic operators and variables. So let's look at arithmetic operations. So Python follows BEDMAS. So you have brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So this is exactly like regular algebra. The brackets come first, and then the subtraction comes very last. So let's say, for example, we want to do this. So 5 times 2 plus 4. So this isn't going to print out 30. It's going to do 5 times 2 first, which is 10, and then we just add 4, so it becomes 14. If we want to print out 30, we have to put brackets around the 4 and 2. So we get 30. So let's go over strings now. So let's comment this out and print it. This is all a string is. It's literally just characters. So you can have periods, you can have brackets, you can have percent signs, dollar signs, pound signs, addition signs, whatever you want. So that's what a string is. It just prints out, or it just holds some value of characters. So how about if we want to print out a star or an asterisk 10 times? So we don't want to print out asterisk manually 10 times. We can just do this. We can do print and then the star and followed by a space multiplied by 10. And what does this give? Well, it gives us the star printed out 10 times. Let's say we do 50. It's going to print it out 50 times. Now, let's go over another concept. When you have a string and you want to get the index values or the specific values of every single character, something that you always have to keep in mind is that the index always starts at 0, meaning the very first character is at the 0th index. It's not the first index. This is something that confuses a lot of people because intuitively it makes sense to put the very first number or the very first letter or character in a string equivalent to 1. So always remember that the total length is equal to n minus 1, where n is the number of characters you have. So this is why I have the alphabet written right here. So there's 26 letters, and the entire length is 26 minus 1, which is 25. So in order to access individual values, we can print out the name. We can print out, okay, so this is going to give me an error anyway, so let's just comment that out. So if we want to access individual characters, then all we have to do is write the name of the string or the array, which we will be covering in a bit, and then just have the name of the string, or well, in this case, it's the string, and have square brackets, and then just type in the number that you want to access. So if we want the value d, we're not going to write 4, we're going to write 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's see what happens. Let's take alphabet and hit 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And then it prints out the technically 4th character. So again, if we want to access the very first character, all we have to do is write alphabet of 0. So if we wrote alphabet of 26, it's going to be outside of the bounds. So there's nothing in the 26th element or the index. So it's just going to throw an error. If we want to print out Z, we can just write 25 or -1, and that prints out the very last character in a string. Let's say, for example, we had a string with 1,000 letters or 1,000 words in it. We don't want to have to count every single individual character, do we? So that's really inefficient. So all we can do is just write -1 and it'll print out the very last character. Now, moving on, this is a formatting kind of a function. So in order to get some sort of decimal place when you're printing out a large number or a number with a bunch of decimal places, what we can do is write, and it takes the 5th decimal place. And this will simply just write out this entire number, but to the 5th decimal place. If we want just 2, then we write 2, and as you can see, it just prints out 2.67. So, what about slicing a string? So what if we want to access a specific amount of values? So let's actually, no, let me make the page just a bit bigger. So if we want to access the first index all the way to the 11th, or in this case 12, because 0 to 12, and we want to print it out, then all we have to do is this. So it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it goes to the 11th term. What if we want to print out the entire string minus the first 2 letters? All we have to do is 2 semicolon blank, and we just leave it like that, and it's going to print out the rest minus the first 2 characters. So we can also find the length of a string. All we have to do is write len and then the name of the string, and that should print out 26 because that's the entire length. We're not getting the index values or anything, so it's not 25. So another fundamental concept is user input. So let's say, for example, we want to ask a user to put in some value. So right here we have an input which only works with numbers, and we want to print out the value. All we have to do is write some variable name is equal to input and some prompt. So let's test this out, and it will print out this. So please enter a number, 90. So it prints out 90. And if we want to print out characters or strings, we have to write raw input, and then the same prompt or a different prompt. And raw input are for strings, and input are for numbers. So let's print this out. Please enter same thing as above. And please enter your name, so Siam, and it says your name is Siam. So that pretty much covers a lot of the fundamentals in Python. You have everything from variables to comments to arithmetic operations to concatenating strings, meaning to put them together, some math functions like the square root, the floor, the ceiling, and if you want to see some more functions utilizing the math functions, you can just search it up on Google and you will find a list of those. And if you want to find some more math operators that you can use, simply type in Python math operators and you will see a bunch of math operators there. So we also covered modulus, which finds the remainder, and how order matters when it comes to doing mathematical operations. And then we also talked about strings, how to print several strings multiple times. And then we talked about how to get index values of strings and how the index starts at 0 and the entire length of the string is n-1. And then we talked about some formatting when it comes to decimal places and how to slice a string. And finally, we went over user input. All these concepts that I just covered in this tutorial are very, very fundamental, basic concepts. And with this, you build up your programming skill and knowledge. So when it comes to interview questions, they'll ask you a series of questions. With this knowledge that you just gained in this tutorial, you can tackle some of those very basic questions. In my entire Python course, I cover everything from variables all the way up until classes, objects, and we also cover some intermediate interview questions. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this tutorial helped, and if it did, please leave a like. Thank you so much for watching.